4. Dallas will have their 3-game win streak snapped, but they get another chance Tuesday night against Washington.
Caitlin Clark, one of the most electrifying rookies to grace the WNBA in recent memory, is set to miss her 14th regular season game of the 2025 campaign due to a lingering right groin injury that has hampered her availability and overall momentum. During what was initially projected to be a defining rookie season, this development not only continues to frustrate fans eagerly awaiting her full-time return, but also raises deeper questions regarding Indiana Fever's playoff hopes, their long-term strategy for roster development, and the toll that the WNBA's rigorous calendar can take on even its most promising young stars. Clark, who was drafted first overall out of Iowa and entered the league with immense fanfare, has appeared in just 13 games so far. Her limited action has been marked by flashes of brilliance, highlight reel passes, logo threes, and a court vision that belies her years, but those moments have been equally shadowed by ongoing injury concerns. Beginning with a left quad issue earlier in the season and now compounded by this more serious right groin strain. For fans and analysts alike, her prolonged absence represents more than a medical setback. It has shifted the Fever's team chemistry, altered defensive matchups across the league, and recalibrated expectations for the league's overall rookie class. The Indiana Fever, meanwhile, are left navigating a landscape that has grown increasingly turbulent. Without their franchise centerpiece, the offensive rhythm has visibly changed, while Aliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell continue to shoulder the load. Clark's unique ability to stretch the floor, collapse defenses, and facilitate from both half-court sets and fast breaks is sorely missed. It's not simply that Clark puts points on the board, though. Her near 20-point scoring average in her brief appearances speaks to that. It's the way she opens up opportunities for others. Defenses cannot sag into the paint or double the post when she's on the perimeter. Her absence has allowed opposing teams to key in on Boston and limit Mitchell's freedom of movement. The statistical drop in offensive efficiency since Clark's injury speaks volumes. But the eye test says even more. This is a Fever team trying to redefine itself every week, scrambling to fill the vacuum left by a once-in-a-generation point guard who hasn't had the opportunity to find her rhythm in professional play. The groin injury, particularly for a guard reliant on quick lateral movement, changes of pace, and explosive first steps, is no minor issue. It's a part of the body that affects almost every motion on the court. Mainly the movements that made Clark so devastating in college and so promising in her brief WNBA showings. This isn't her first time dealing with lower body injuries either. Earlier in the season, Clark was battling a left quad problem that already sidelined her for multiple games. The recurrence of lower body issues in such a short time frame is raising concerns among both Fever medical staff and national commentators. The organization has stated they are being cautious and long-term focused with their star, emphasizing that they're not interested in rushing her back for short-term gains. That's a noble approach, but it also places the team in a bind. Without her, the product on the floor has sometimes struggled to compete with elite teams, and the franchise's broader branding and national draw, which skyrocketed after Clark's drafting, has somewhat dimmed in her absence. Her return could revive that spark, but only if she's at full health. A gamble the Fever appear unwilling to take lightly, and for good reason. Clark's injury status has taken on an almost day-to-day mystery since the All-Star break. At first, the team described it as minor and suggested she was simply being given rest during a busy travel stretch. Then the language shifted. Words like monitoring, nagging, and revaluation began to dominate press releases. Now, with no official timetable for her return and more than a third of the regular season already missed, fans are rightly asking whether we'll see a fully fit Clark again this season. ESPN, The Athletic, and other sports outlets have begun speculating about the long-term implications of Clark's injuries. Some have floated trade rumors not of Clark herself, but of pieces the Fever could move in the offseason to better support her once she's healthy. Others are discussing whether Indiana might pivot to load management practices going forward, especially if they find themselves out of the playoff picture by September. All of this adds to the pressure on Clark, who is not just a young player trying to adjust to the pros, but the face of a franchise and, arguably, the most high-profile rookie in league history in terms of commercial value and fan attention, even off the court. Clark's presence or absence has had a ripple effect across the WNBA. Attendance at Fever home games remains solid, but the once electric buzz of a Clark appearance has been dimmed. National TV ratings, which saw a notable spike when she debuted earlier in the season, have slightly dipped as well, particularly for Indiana games. Merchandising trends have also slowed. Clark's jersey was the league's top seller through May, but sales have leveled off as she's remained sidelined. All of this reflects how much she's come to symbolize the next phase of women's basketball in America. But it also reveals how delicate that symbolism is when confronted with the physical toll of professional sports. Injuries are part of the game, but when the league's most visible player is out for an extended stretch, the consequences reach far beyond a single team's win-loss column. The WNBA has been proactive in promoting Clark, building commercial partnerships and media campaigns around her. Now, it finds itself having to pivot, showcasing other stars, many deserving, such as A'ja Wilson, Sabrina Ionescu, and Nafisa Collier, while also delicately managing.
And we'll come the other way, the two-point advantage. Clark on Sheldon. Clark has been, shall we say, spectacular.
For Clark herself, the pressure must be immense. She entered the WNBA not only as the top pick, but as a generational college talent who had just rewritten NCAA record books. At Iowa, she was used to being the centerpiece, the focal point of every offense, the primary ball handler, and the emotional leader. In Indiana, she's had to learn a new system, adjust to stronger defenders, quicker rotations, and a more compact schedule, all while nursing injuries and carrying the hopes of a fanbase hungry for relevance. It's no easy task. And though she's managed to stay engaged from the bench, cheering on teammates, offering insight during timeouts, and remaining a visible part of the locker room, nothing compares to game time reps. This absence deprives her of crucial development time, the kind of live-action minutes that separate good players from great ones in the pro ranks. The WNBA is not just faster than college ball, it's more physical, more strategic, and more grueling in travel demands. Missing this much time during her rookie year not only affects her statistics and awards eligibility, but may also slow down the chemistry building that is essential to long-term team success. The Fever coaching staff, to their credit, has remained upbeat in press conferences. Head coach Christy Sides continues to stress progress and long-term health in her updates. Teammates have echoed similar sentiments, emphasizing that Clark remains locked in and eager to return. Aliyah Boston has mentioned in interviews that Clark's court vision can't be replicated, and that her absence forces the team to play differently, not necessarily worse, but with less versatility. Some younger players, like Grace Berger and Nolisa Smith, have stepped up in Clark's stead, seizing the opportunity to take on more minutes and responsibilities. That's a silver lining. But it doesn't mask the reality that the team, as constructed, was designed with Clark as its engine. The blueprint is simply harder to execute without its lead architect on the floor. There's also the intangible factor, the energy and morale boost that Clark provides. Her mere presence often lifts the intensity level of the Fever, and when she's not suited up, there's a noticeable dip in emotional tempo. Looking forward, the Fever's medical staff will likely continue with a cautious approach. Groin injuries are notoriously tricky. Returning too soon risks re-injury, and surgery, though not currently on the table, is always a concern if healing doesn't progress naturally. The hope is that Clark can return for at least a final stretch of regular season games, both to help Indiana make a late playoff push and to give fans and herself a chance to see some continuity heading into the 2026 season. But if there's any sign of recurring discomfort or risk, the team might choose to shut her down for the season entirely. That scenario, while frustrating, could offer long-term benefits, allowing Clark a full off-season to rehabilitate, recondition, and return next year at 100% strength. In many ways, this mirrors the early careers of other superstars in sports. LeBron James, Candace Parker, and even Sabrina Ionescu faced early injuries that temporarily slowed their momentum before rebounding to elite form. Clark's ceiling remains astronomical. But now, both she and the Fever are learning the hard way that greatness in professional sports is not just about talent and highlight plays, it's about endurance, recovery, and resilience. In the meantime, WNBA fans will continue to watch, wait, and hope. The league is deeper than ever, filled with talent at every position, and rising stars in nearly every market. Yet the Clark effect remains undeniable. When she plays, she doesn't just impact the scoreboard, she changes the narrative. She sells tickets, fills arenas, boosts broadcasts, and brings new fans into the fold. Her continued absence, therefore, is felt on multiple levels: emotionally, competitively, commercially, As the Fever prepare for the final weeks of the regular season, the overarching question remains not just whether Clark will return, but whether she be able to reclaim the momentum and magic that made her one of the most hyped rookies in league history. The answer to that question could define not only the Fever's near-term future but shape the broader evolution of the WNBA in its most transformative era yet. Ask ChatGPT.
What we're seeing here. Nice block, Lexi Hall. In a game. Wings by 2, trying to extend their win streak to 4, as is Indiana.
Caitlin Clark's 2025 WNBA season has taken an unfortunate and frustrating turn, as the Indiana Fever superstar is now officially set to miss her 14th regular season game of the year, and her 15th overall since the season tipped off. The former Iowa sensation, widely regarded as one of the most transformative rookies the WNBA has ever seen, has been ruled out for Wednesday night's anticipated matchup against the Phoenix Mercury. According to a report by Chloe Peterson of the Indy Star, the injury keeping Clark sidelined remains a right groin strain that has nagged her since earlier in the summer. Although that diagnosis remains unchanged, the situation is far from resolved. On Thursday, the Indiana Fever organization released a statement clarifying that recent medical evaluations conducted on Clark revealed no new injuries or structural damage. While that update provided some relief, it also came with an equally sobering reality: there is currently no timeline for her return to action. The Fever emphasized that the team's primary concern at this point is Caitlin's long-term health and overall well-being, and they have no intention of rushing her back into competition before she is fully recovered. This latest setback marks the 5th consecutive game that Clark has missed due to injury. It comes at a time when she should be building upon her Rookie of the Year campaign from 2024. A year in which she burst onto the WNBA scene with record-breaking performances, magnetic energy, and an audience-drawing appeal that sparked league attention. Not only has her injury impacted her on-court availability, but it has also affected her ability to participate in key league events. During this 5-game absence, Clark was forced to withdraw from the highly anticipated WNBA All-Star Game as well as the league's prestigious three-point contest. What makes that all the more disappointing is the fact that the Indiana Fever were this year's host team for All-Star Weekend. Instead of suiting up and taking center stage during the festivities, Clark contributed in a different role, helping coach the very All-Star squad she was initially named to captain, while her presence was still appreciated and highlighted during the weekend's events. It was clear that fans were hoping for more than just a courtside smile from one of the game's brightest stars. Her withdrawal was symbolic of a larger, ongoing issue. The season that was supposed to cement her status as a generational force has been repeatedly derailed by injuries. Throughout her entire college career, Caitlin Clark had built a reputation for durability as much as brilliance. At Iowa, she was a near-constant presence on the court, racking up minutes, points, assists, and accolades at a historic rate. Her ability to remain healthy over the course of intense Big Ten seasons and NCAA tournament runs made her a reliable, steady force, a trait that scouts and executives praised when evaluating her pro potential. However, her transition to the WNBA has introduced a new level of physical and mental challenge. And for the first time in her career, injuries are becoming a recurring part of her narrative. It started with a left quad issue that flared up during the preseason and forced her to miss Indiana's exhibition opener. Though that injury seemed minor at the time, and she appeared to bounce back quickly, notably dropping a triple-double on October 20th in the regular season opener, it now appears to have been the first warning sign in a string of muscular issues that would soon follow. By the end of May, Clark was again sidelined, this time more significantly, as a left quad strain forced her to miss 5 games between May 28th and June 10th. After returning from that absence, Clark played just a handful of games before another injury, this time to her left groin, put her back on the shelf. That particular issue cost her 4 more games, as well as the WNBA Commissioner's Cup Final, which occurred between June 26th and July 5th. As if 3 soft tissue injuries weren't already enough to cause concern. The most recent and current setback, a right groin strain, makes it her 4th lower body muscle injury in a single season, for a player whose game relies so heavily on mobility, change of pace, rapid directional shifts, and off-the-dribble creation. Injuries in the groin and quad areas are particularly detrimental. These injuries don't just affect physical capability, disrupt rhythm, timing, shooting mechanics, and confidence. And for Clark, who is known for her elite three-point range, court vision, and ability to control tempo, the toll has been evident even in the numbers. though still averaging a strong 16.5 points, 8.8 assists, and 5.0 rebounds per game. Her shooting efficiency has notably dipped this season. She is currently converting just 36.7% of her field goal attempts and an uncharacteristically low 27.9% from beyond the arc, figures far below her norm both collegiately and